All right. So let's go to where are we at here? Let's go to the last segment of the show here. So for this, I'm going to go through just a little slideshow I put together and talk about um, the No Cap Fund, what I'm trying to build over there. Um, Try to use this as like a little training video for those No Cap fans that are come to our Twitter Spaces, who have signed up to be state leaders, so they can kind of watch this. It's just like a means of communication, if you will. So let's me share my screen. All right. So this is essentially a grassroots um, marketing package of what I'd like to produce and send out to state leaders. So first thing is we'd want to send out a leadership guide. The leadership guide is it would have an explanation of leadership in there, kind of like just defining what leadership is, along with a leadership checklist. Um, Leadership in a lot of ways is trying to balance like passion with moderation. Like you're really passionate about what you want to do, but you got to have structure and order and take little steps to achieve that passion. And so inside the leadership guide, we'd have step one, how to build a group. Step two, how to network. And maybe these are out of order. I'm just kind of, just kind of building this out. So I haven't finished it yet, but how to network, working with business groups, setting up farmers markets and town events, and then how to order marketing supplies. And we're going to go through some of those marketing supplies here. Um, and, you know, the what you see here, or what we're trying to achieve, is communication. Because at the core, what I like to tell people is like the House of Representatives is communication. It is the people's voice. It's the way that people talk to their power. And so if we're going to have an organization that's dedicated to uncapping the House of Representatives and giving people the ability to speak again, then we have to be diligent and concise communicators. And so the first part of communication comes in your marketing material. It comes with your design. And so like the key to good design is size, shape, and color. As you can see in the designs that are coming up, very conscientious about the coloring, having nice space between things so it's easily be able to read, and having color that pops the right things. And the key to good marketing, which look, what a grassroots organization needs is good marketing to spread its word, um, is simplicity, consistency, and focus. And so, um, what we want is we want our focus to be on communication and education. Okay. And that's where this stuff comes in. So we're looking for 435 state leaders, one leader per House district. And a leader would receive a marketing package with the stuff that you see here, along with additional things. So business cards, pop up banners, stickers, yard signs, t-shirts. Start this over again. Um, and so in each of these, we have what I've tried to do is I've tried to create a design that feels comfortable. It ties to history in many different ways. So if you look at the text that's selected here and the colors that are selected here with your Y435, the reason that it's in that font, that's like our founder's font, right? And it ties into that old-timey feel of the founding era. And the reason for that is because when you ask people, Why do you think we have 435 representatives? The answer that you will most commonly get before they think about it is, well, it's always been that way. But they very quickly realize that there was not nearly as many people or states during the founding. And they go, whoa, whoa, wait, you're right. Why is it 435? And so, and that is your way as a state leader, as anybody who's trying to like make this their mission to complete and uncap the house. That's your in, right? And so we want the design and we want the marketing to always be communicating something. So the yellow and the red and the blue, obviously the red and the blue represents Republican and Democrats, right? There's no way around that, but I've chosen a lighter blue than the traditional one. This kind of reminds me of like 1960s era, um, Republican and Democrats. And just to tie into that familiar feel of different eras of history, because you know we are trying to do something that requires knowledge of history to understand. And so right here you see this is just a template. I haven't This is not what I would be sending out to state leaders. This is just something I kind of threw together quickly, but the point of this here is to set a goal, right? We're essentially, what we're trying to do is we're balancing power between the federalist and the Republicans. We don't have Republicans, right? We can't have Republicans until we uncap the House, because the Republicans are the party of the people, the House is the party of the people, and the people don't have a place to speak. So what we want to do is we want to balance the power, okay? Because we don't want to follow Plutarch's path of that disease, that division between rich and poor. We want to balance it, pull the rich and poor closer together so they can work in harmony and continue our great American experiment of liberty. And so you can see here that what what I like is, and it doesn't have to be 400,000 a ratio. I'd like to see uncapping the house happen by 2030. That's when we take the next census. And as an organization, we need to have a goal to achieve. And so the next census, we have 4 house election cycles. So our focus as an organization should be educating people about why the House of Representatives needs to be uncapped by 2030, and making sure that we are pushing that as an issue for people to run on in Congress and to persuade people that are already in Congress to talk about this issue. Um, we want to be able to have state leaders um, go out and talk directly to the people. And so inside, that How the Network, we talked about business groups, farmers markets, and town events. We will give you a marketing packet with all this stuff. There'll also be like a tablecloth, maybe a tent. You can sign up. There'll be inside of your leadership guide, there'll be a um, explain to you where to look to sign up for town events, farmers markets, and stuff like that. Um, and you'll go out and you'll just talk to people about it. We'll have communication cards, we'll have brochures, we'll have pamphlets. Um, and that way you can start to educate people on their power, essentially, and what they should want their government to be focused on. Um, and remember, you know, what we need to focus on is good communication. And good communication is simple, focused, and informational. So when we're out there and we're designing something, we like this is this is a focused design, right? We want to uncap the house. We want it to be a campaign issue for 2030, right? Because it's going to be a campaign issue year after year, but that's the year that the census is taken, right? And so here again with our design, we've got something that feels comfortable because it's like the Reagan Bush logo. And we've seen it with Lincoln and Johnson. We've seen it with Washington and Adams. And so we've kind of replicated the design there. We put this up in your front yard. People are going to go, they're so tired of Republican and Democrats. And this looks like a political ad. It feels like a political ad, but nobody is going to understand it. But you know what they're going to want? They're going to want to ask questions about it. They're going to want to go to www.nocapfund.org and they're going to want to find out more. And when they do find out more and they read the educational, informational, uh, the education, that's a little redundant, right? I thought we said concise. Okay. So when they read the information on the website and they learn about why we need to uncap the house, they're going to want to put one of these signs in their yard. And then whoever's running for president is going to need to pay attention to this issue. And most specifically, what we want to do is we want to get the people of Congress paying attention to the issue. I kind of already explained the Y435 t-shirt, didn't I? Kind of went out of order here. But again, we want to drive people to think. We want to drive people to ask questions. I think that you know, if we want to get people in power to take us seriously as an organization, and let me stop the share real quick. If we want to get people in power to take us seriously and basically dilute their power, because you got to think if you're a member of Congress and you write an apportionment bill that increases the size of the House, you lose your power. You lose some of your power. The Speaker of the House now has to write new rules, and there's new challenges with that. There's a lot of stuff that goes into this, into the nitty-gritty of understanding it. And the people that are in power aren't going to want to do the work, and they're not going to want to give up their power unless they are persuaded to do so by the people. And if the people want to persuade them, they need to come at them with an intelligent, concise argument. And that's what we want to do from top down at Uncap the House. We want to be able to give people the tools to make the change in government that needs to be made. Um, and, I think it's important to remember that, going back to that, in our last segment about the political parties is how does a Republican government work? How does a Republican party supposed to work? And that is a government that works through the Congress, that works through the people, um, and that represents the interest of the individual citizen. And, this is something that has made has separated, I think, individuals from their government. I think it's a lot of the reason why we have a lot of the corruption in government that we see. I think it's a lot of the reason that people feel powerless, they feel unrepresented, and that's because they don't have any power. They aren't really represented. And so we don't need to be bitter and upset and angry over it when we're communicating about it. We just need to explain what's going on. And we shouldn't be mad at the people that are in power. They didn't do this. This isn't their fault. Um, and they are going to disagree with us, and we shouldn't be angry at them disagreeing with us because they just, you'll have to understand if you take a state leadership position and you learn all this stuff and if you're following this, you probably already understand why we need to uncap the house. But you have to think about it from the perspective of like, what did you think before you knew about it? Right? Like you would when you first heard about it, you probably were like, "What? This is silly." No, and then when you studied it and you learned it, you were like, "Oh, this is really important. I should be focusing on this." And so that's how we have to approach communicating about this. We need to be patient with people. We need to forgive people. Like I said, the people in power, they didn't do this. We should forgive them. We should be patient with them in communicating our message and just being persistent and concise and educational along the way, um, to make sure that we grow a group large enough to make this change because I think it's really important for our republic. Um, yeah. So I think that's my show, guys. Thank you for the no cap people. If you signed on to listen to that little, you know, demonstration of marketing ideas. And thank you for my regular podcast crew for tuning in. I I'm still not sure what I'm doing, to be honest with you, with this new podcast format. So if you are watching and you have, uh, my thing is what I like to tell people is the way that I operate is like I'm like a flower. Okay, I grow towards light. You can put me in shade and you can tell me all the things that I do wrong, but I might just wither away and die if you do that. But if you just point a light at me, I naturally will follow it. And what I mean by that is if you're watching the show and you have positive things that I'm doing well that you think I should continue on, share it with me. If there are things that you think that I'm not doing well, point me in the direction of how to do it well instead of pointing out what I'm doing wrong. I think that we're all children in some way, and I'm a child in that way. And so that's the way I function and operate. So if you are listening and you're like, "Hey, I like this new format. He should keep doing this, but maybe he should switch it to do this or maybe make this change or whatever." Please make a comment, shoot me an email. If you're listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, go in, drop something polite and nice into the comments. If you got questions that are political thing, about the political parts or whatever, drop them in there. I'll try to answer as many as I can, just to help, get viewership up, educate people, share the information. It was great talking with you again. It is weird talking alone in a room with nobody. Like I said, it is scary to go it alone, but here I am, and I'm looking for a whole bunch of other leaders to go it alone in their community and uncap the House and return Republican government back to the United States Republic. So, thank you for listening, and as always, peace and love.